Good morning, Your Honor. This is the Pima County Jail. How are you, ma'am?
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, living the dream once again. We ready to get started, Your Honor?
Yes. Morning, sir. Is your true name Nico Juan Childs? I think he's muted.
Good.
All right. Good morning.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Good morning, sir. This is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of assault, disorderly conduct, and criminal damage. This was a warrant issued for crimes that happened earlier in 2024. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Sir, I'm going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond. Michael Vaughn is your attorney. We're going to give you his contact information. Your court date is, looks like it's tomorrow, the 16th at 10 a.m. in South Tucson City Court. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons. At this point in time, the victim in the case does wish to have contact with you, so there is not going to be a prohibition on contact with the victim in this case. I think that's it. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, I do.
All right, that's all.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, does she want to speak? Oh, okay.
Since reach for take. Okay. So I'm being held. You mean?
Guard.
Good morning, ma'am. Is your true name Michelle Helen Gard?
Yes.
All right, this is a time set for an initial appearance. You have been arrested on a warrant. Hold on just a second. Let me get my screen back up here. Give me just a minute. All right, so Ms. Gard, you've been arrested on a warrant for shoplifting out of Marana City Court that occurred in the fall of last year. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Ma'am, based on your failure to appear, I am going to order that you're held on $500 cash bond. Your court date your court date is today at noon. You're going to be seen on video, Marana City Court. Your attorney is Janet Altschuler. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs and do not return to the incident location. Do you understand? All right, that's all for today. Good morning, sir. Is your true name Javon Joseph Lopez?
Yes, Your Honor.
The time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on a charge of domestic violence, disorderly conduct, fighting. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you in some instances. So, sir, because you don't have any criminal history, I am going to allow you to be released on your promise to appear, but there's several conditions of release that you have to abide by. First of all, your court date is February 14th at 10:30 a.m. You must appear for your arraignment, or a warrant could issue for your arrest. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons. You are to have no contact with the alleged victim or her residence and workplace. I know that is your mother, but that is her request. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's all for today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bill?
Good
Morning,
morning.
Your Honor.
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Ryan Bell?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on several charges. The first one is disorderly conduct, domestic violence, fighting. You also have several charges out of Tucson City Court where you've failed to appear. There's also a felony warrant for your arrest.
Felony warrant?
Let's see. Hold on just a second.
Sorry, Your Honor.
It's indicating that there's a felony warrant in CR 2024-3822. Sir, you do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Sir, based on the nature of these charges and the age of these charges, I am going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond. Your attorney is already appointed, Athemios Katsarelis, who's a contract attorney. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons. Your next court date is January 22nd at 1:30 p.m. in front of Judge Millian. Do you understand, sir?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Judge. Could I get the city court date one more time?
January 22nd at 1:30
Thank you.
p.m. You're welcome. That's all for today.
Gitterman?
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Anthony Gitterman? This is a time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of possession of drug paraphernalia and also failure to appear out of Tucson City Court for prescription possession and drug paraphernalia. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. So, sir, based on the age of the older cases, I am going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond on everything. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs. Your attorney is the city public defender. Your court date is January 24th at 1:45 p.m. in front of Judge Verena, Tucson City Court. Do you understand?
Yeah.
All right, that's all for today.
Tina?
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Casey Casina?
Yes.
This is a time set for an initial appearance for failure to appear for a criminal trespass case out of Tucson City Court. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Sir, because you failed to appear, I am going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond. Your attorney is the city public defender's office, and your court date is January 24th at 1:45 p.m. in front of Judge Mayhew, Tucson City Court. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, and do not go to the incident location. Do you understand?
Yeah.
All right, that's all for today.
Funds?
Wasn't my bond 250 this time?
It's not like we
Really good.
Morning, sir. Is your true name Alan Clunt?
Yes, ma'am.
Time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of criminal trespass and possession of drug paraphernalia, and also failure to appear for previous charges of criminal trespass and possession of drug paraphernalia from last year. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Sir, I am going to order that you're held on $500 cash bond for your failures to appear. You are to not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not go to the incident location, and your attorney is the city public defender. Your next court date is January 24th at 1:45 p.m. in front of Judge Maldonado, Tucson City Court. Do you understand?
Thank you. Yes.
All right, that's all for today.
Your Honor, this interpreter Spanish speaking matters will be next.
Oh, okay.
So I have Mr. Estrога on his way. Can we do Mr. Mejia Rodriguez while we wait?
Sure.
Yeah, Rodriguez.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we have. Okay. Good morning, sir. Let's see here. Hold on just a second.
Un momentito, señor.
Gracias.
Thank you.
All right, I was looking for the wrong file. Good morning, sir. Is your true name Josue Mejia Rodriguez?
Muy buenos días, señor. Dígame si su nombre verdadero es Josué Mejía Rodríguez.
Así es.
That is correct.
All right. This is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of assault, domestic violence, disorderly conduct, domestic violence, threats, domestic violence, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Bueno, señor, el día de hoy usted está compareciendo en su comparecencia inicial porque usted fue arrestado porque tiene una acusación de agresión que se considera violencia doméstica, también alteración al orden público, que es violencia doméstica, y amenazas, que se consideran violencia doméstica, y posesión de accesorios de droga.
You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Usted tiene el derecho de permanecer callado. Todo lo que diga puede y será utilizado en su contra.
You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you.
Usted tiene el derecho de ser representado por un abogado. Si no se puede costear uno, se le va a asignar uno.
Sir, based on the nature of these charges, I am going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond.
Y dado la naturaleza de estas acusaciones, señor, voy a ordenar que usted siga detenido y le voy a fijar fianza de $500 en efectivo.
Your attorney is the city public defender's office.
Y su abogado va a ser un abogado de la ciudad, del Departamento de Defensores Públicos.
Your next court date is January 22nd at 1:30 p.m. for an arraignment in Tucson City Court.
Y su próxima audiencia va a ser el 22 de enero a la 1:30 de la tarde para la lectura de cargos en Tucson City Court.
If you bond out, you are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs.
Señor, si usted deposita la fianza y sale libre, usted no debe de consumir bebidas alcohólicas ni tampoco poseer o consumir drogas ilícitas.
Commit no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons.
Usted no puede cometer ningún acto adicional de violencia doméstica ni tampoco poseer armas de fuego.
No contact with the alleged victim or her residence or workplace.
Usted no puede tener contacto con la presunta víctima ni tampoco ir a donde vive la víctima o a donde trabaja la víctima.
Do you understand?
¿Le quedó
Sí.
claro, señor? Yes.
Sí.
All right, that's all
Yes,
for
of
today.
course.
Thank you.
Y es todo por hoy. Muchísimas gracias.
Rogan.
Is this Diaz Ruiz or Estroga?
Estroga Figueroa, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, sir. Is your true name David Astroga Figueroa?
Muy
Yes,
buenos días, señor, le dice la juez. Su nombre verdadero es David Astroga Figueroa.
yes,
Okay.
Yes.
All right. This is a time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges where you have failed to appear, criminal trespass, disorderly conduct, theft, shoplifting, and drug paraphernalia.
Señor, usted está aquí para su comparecencia inicial y fue arrestado porque tiene acusaciones de que no se presentó a sus audiencias. Usted tiene acusaciones de entrada ilegal, de alteración al orden público, robo a tienda y posesión de accesorios de drogas.
You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Sí tiene el derecho de permanecer callado. Todo lo que diga puede y será utilizado en su contra.
You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you.
Usted tiene el derecho de ser representado por un abogado. Si no se puede costear uno, le vamos a asignar uno para que lo represente.
I am going to appoint the city public defender to represent you, and I'm going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond based on your failure to appear.
Y a usted voy a ordenar que lo represente el defensor de la ciudad y voy a ordenar también que siga detenido y le voy a fijar una fianza de $500 en efectivo por la falta de comparecencia que ya tiene.
If you bond out, you are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, possess no firearms or weapons, and do not return to the incident location.
Señor, si usted deposita la fianza y sale libre, voy a ordenar que usted no puede consumir bebidas alcohólicas, tampoco puede poseer ni consumir ningún tipo de droga ilícita, no puede poseer ningún tipo de arma de fuego y no puede regresar al lugar de los hechos, donde sucedieron los hechos.
Your court date is January 24th at 1:45 p.m. in Tucson City Court.
Y su próxima audiencia es el 24 de enero a la 1:45 de la tarde en Tucson City Court.
Do you understand?
¿Le quedó
Yes.
claro, señor?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's all for today.
Es todo por hoy. Gracias.
Thank you.
For the jail, are we going to wait on Diaz Ruiz then?
Yes, we'll see him last, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so we're
I
going
think
to,
we have Mr. Barr, who we right now, Judge.
perfect, thank you. Good morning, sir. Is your true name Theodore Barr?
Yes,
Now, this is a time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on a charge of sexual exploitation of a minor. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I'm going to appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you. The state is requesting that you be held on bond. Anything to add, Neil?
Your Honor, state would just like to impress upon the court that we're looking at 10 separate counts of CSAM, some of which include CSAM of the most loathsome kind, and nothing short of a high bond is going to ensure that this defendant does not flee the jurisdiction. No one can truly be there to make sure he stays away from the internet and doesn't reoffend. His age should not be a bar to a high bond because, well, he's retired. He has all the time in the world to keep up this absolutely loathsome activity.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you, Judge. We're requesting, we completely understand the state's concern about holding Mr. Barr on a bond. We believe that a $5,000 bond is appropriate in this case for a few reasons. First, this is Mr. Barr's first law enforcement contact, it looks like, of any kind in his 78 years. He is, according to pretrial zone metrics, unlike what Mr. Poston said, he is the lowest risk to flee the jurisdiction that pretrial has seen. If pretrial interviewed me, I would be exactly as likely to show up to court as Mr. Barr, according to pretrial's own tool. The only other thing that I would like to add, Judge, is we disagree with Mr. Poston's position that there is no combination of release conditions that could keep him off of the internet. I have certainly seen cases before where somebody has been released to pretrial with extremely strict conditions about the sorts of devices they can keep in their home. And so I don't think that it is somehow beyond pretrial's capability that Mr. Barr could sort of be screened from having devices or internet access if he's released. So we do agree a bond is appropriate, but we're asking for $5,000.
Thank you. So the court does agree with defense counsel. Mr. Barr is 78 years old, has absolutely no felony or misdemeanor history. He's retired Suntrans supervisor and is a very low risk according to pretrial services workup. I am going to find that he's that it's appropriate to release him to the custody of pretrial services. Sir, the conditions of your release are as follows. No alcohol or illegal drugs. You're going to be monitored by pretrial services. No internet access allowed on your phone or on your computer. No contact with minor children. I'm assuming you do not reside with any minor children, sir? Okay.
Correct.
All right. So no contact with minor children. Your next court date is February 4th at 1:30 p.m. That's a preliminary hearing. Stay in touch with the public defender's office. The hearing may not occur on that date. Do you understand?
Your Honor,
Yes.
the state would also like, if the court is going to be releasing him straight PTS, no bond, state would also move to include that he shall not go near any parks, schools, playgrounds,
Yeah. Julio. No, no. I'm just being farther hand side.
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Julio Cesar Leon?
Yes.
This is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of possession of a narcotic drug, possession of drug paraphernalia, and burglary in the second degree. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I will appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you in this matter. State is recommending a bond. Neil?
Your Honor, this person is alleged to have stolen over $8,600 in property from a commercial yard that he subsequently put up for sale on Facebook. He has an extensive criminal history, including multiple instances of probation revocation, history of Department of Corrections, supervised probation, jail, and a lot of theft, Your Honor. There's no reason to believe he's suddenly going to stop stealing unless there is a very high bond, $15,000.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you, Judge. I concur that the history is concerning here, along with the instant allegations. I would also like to note that a lot of the history that Mr. Poston talked about is DUI and drug related. And it also seems from the interim that when Mr. Leon was arrested, there's an allegation he was again found with drugs. So that's likely driving the behavior. I agree that a bond is appropriate. We would likely defer to the court on the amount. But given the history and Mr. Leon's pretrial services workup, I don't think that an exceedingly high amount is going to make him any more or less likely to post it, let alone any more or less likely to get him to court. So we agree that a bond is appropriate. We defer to the court on the amount.
Thank you. All right, so Mr. Leon, I am going to order that you be held on $7,500 cash or secured bond. If you post that, you're going to be on pretrial services release. Your next court date is January 27th at 1:30 p.m. for preliminary hearing in Pima County Justice Court. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, monitoring by pretrial services, and also no contact with the alleged victim or the incident location. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
All right, that's all for today.
So,
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Christopher Lee Radcliffe?
Yes.
All right, this is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated assault with serious injury. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I'm going to appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you. State is recommending that you be held on bond. Excuse me, Neil.
Your Honor, this person absolutely unprovoked invaded the home of the victim, punched her repeatedly in the head, beat her over the head with a blunt object, slashed her in the leg, causing a laceration so severe it was too extensive for sutures and is going to have to heal from the inside out. He made statements that he wanted to flee the jurisdiction. He's looking at mandatory prison time. He's got 2 priors. He's got abundant priors: ag assault, forgery, burglary, fleeing. He's non-compliant with probation. This was an absolutely violent, unprovoked attack. He could have killed her, Your Honor, and it's really surprising that he didn't. $250,000.
Thank you. I also note there is a hold from the Department of Corrections on a previous case. Counsel?
Thank you, Judge. Yeah, so jail is confirming that there's already a DOC hold for Mr. Radcliffe. I agree with Mr. Poston that the interim complaint is concerning. Because of the hold that already exists, I don't think that $250,000 is a justifiable bond in this case, especially if he's going to be held anyway because of the parole violation. Yeah, we concur that a bond is appropriate. We'll defer to the court on the amount.
Thank you, counsel. All right, so Mr. Radcliffe, based on the nature of these charges, I do find that you're a threat to the victim and the community. I'm going to order that you're held on $50,000 cash or secured bond, pretrial services if you post that bond. Your next court date is January 27th at 1:30 p.m. for a preliminary hearing in Pima County Justice Court. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons, monitored by pretrial if you post the bond, no contact whatsoever with the alleged victim or her residence and workplace. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's all for today.
One moment, Your Honor. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Sure. All the way down, all the way down. Brothers go first, the front chair, everybody else.
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Jacob Dwayne Brothers?
Yes, ma'am.
Time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of possession of a narcotic drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I'll appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you in this matter. I also note that there is a hold on you from adult probation regarding a drug court case that you're involved in. The state is recommending that you be held on bond. Anything else to add, Neil?
State submits, Your Honor.
Counsel?
Thank you, Judge. We would agree that a nominal bond is appropriate in this case. It looks like a PTR has already been filed on the 2018 case. Given the history, there is some concern that the result of that PTR is going to be incarceration. I would also note that pretrial services is reporting that this case is smart court eligible. If the 2018 case is also a drug court case, does that affect anything?
No, his case is eligible to be screened for steps, regardless of any priors. So he'll be screened and he'll be given a court date.
Okay, so then we would just recommend a $500 bond if he's going to be held anyway.
So Mr. Brothers, I am going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond, pretrial services supervision if you post it, but you do have a probation hold. You have a steps hearing January 22nd at 9 a.m. You're going to be transported from the jail if you qualify for the steps diversion program. And that's just a diversion program. It's sort of similar to drug court, but it's pre-indictment. You may be offered that, but the county attorney's office has to screen your case before that. So again, if you're not eligible, you won't be transported. If you are, you will be. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, and you're going to be monitored by pretrial if you do post the bond and are released on your other case. Do you understand? to be monitored by pretrial if you do post the bond and are released on your other case. Do you understand?
And he does that.
Thank you.
Gracias.
So Mr. Reyes, we're going to talk
Thank you
about,
very much.
you're welcome. We're going to talk about, sir, the domestic violence cases involving your mother. There are two of them, one where you failed to appear, and then there's a new one. In those cases, I am going to order that you're held on $500 cash bond. You are to possess no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and commit no acts of domestic violence. Your mother does wish to have contact with you, so I'm not going to bar contact with her. But you may not commit any further acts of domestic violence. Your next court date is January 16th. That's tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pima County Justice Court in front of Judge Pesquira. And that is for both the new case and the old case. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. And sorry, your attorney for those cases is Doug Taylor. We're going to give you his contact information. All right. That's all for today. Thank you.
So they're still this detail. They'll just take their video on it. Everybody has requested bonus, but call they don't answer.
Favor. Salinas?
All right. So Miss, you can the hearing has concluded. You can hang up now.
Señora Padilla, ya terminamos con el caso de su hijo. Puede colgar. Gracias.
Sí, ¿cuándo es la cita para que lo vean en enero?
When is the next hearing so they can see him in January?
So he has a hearing tomorrow at 1 p.m.
Él tiene una audiencia el día de mañana a la 1 de la tarde.
He's going to be on video. And that's here. That's Justice Court.
Y va a ser a través de video y va a ser aquí en el Tribunal de Justicia.
Bien, él es una preciosa persona, le quería decir de eso.
He is a very, very good person. That is what I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Gracias, señora. Gracias.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, I gave. You're right. Good morning, sir. Is your true name Daniel Salinas?
Yes.
This is a time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of possession of a narcotic drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. You also have multiple city court cases where you have failed to appear that we're going to be talking about. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. For the felony charge, I am going to appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you. And Neil, I don't see a recommendation from you.
I'm sorry, what was the last name, Your Honor?
Sorry, I just found it. Salinas. State is recommending $5,000 plus pretrial release. Anything else to add?
State submits on the written record.
Okay, counsel.
Thank you, Judge. We agree that given the failure to appear history, a bond is appropriate in this case. We're just asking for significantly less than $5,000. A bond of $1,000 would probably be appropriate to ensure Mr. Salinas' attendance to court. I would note that the history here seems to be mostly drug related. And yet again, this is another case where the interim complaint seems to indicate that the drug possession charge is based on allegedly possession of fewer than 10 pills. So I would also like to note that it's smart court eligible. If the court's inclined to impose a bond, we would recommend no more than $1,000.
Thank you. All right, so Mr. Salinas, I am going to order that you be held on $1,000 bond, cash bond. If you post that, you are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, monitoring by pretrial services. You do have a steps hearing January 22nd at 9 a.m. in Pima County Superior Court. You may be eligible for a diversion program called steps. You'll be transported if you're still in custody. If not, you need to appear or you will not be eligible for that.
It's Thursday.
22nd.
What's it, 1 week?
And then we need to talk about your city court cases and your Sarita cases. In those cases, I'm going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond because you have failed to appear. Your attorney for the Sarita case is Stan Fitzgerald. We'll give you his contact information. Your court date is January 21st at 3 p.m. Sarita Municipal Court. If you post the bond, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons. And then in the city court case, your court date is January 24th at 1:45 p.m. Tucson City Court. City public defender is going to be representing you in that case. Possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not return to the incident location. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
All right, that's all for today.
She got a lot of coordinates, right? They're getting all the money to talk to you. Oh, they run their attorneys. You know, 600, you know, Porter wrote that big problem.
Hartley. Hartley.
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Michael Tarpley?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on a felony possession of dangerous drug and paraphernalia. And also there's several city court cases where you have failed to appear that we need to discuss. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I'm going to appoint the Pima County Legal Defender's Office to represent you in the felony matter. Let's see here. And Neil, what is the state's recommendation?
Your Honor, the state submitted a no bond as he is out on felony release. He's out on release on a felony. He's got an FTA warrant.
Okay. Thank you. All right, counsel.
Thank you, Judge. For Mr. Tarpley's case, I'm looking at the interim complaint. We're asking that the court find that the interim complaint does not provide probable cause to hold Mr. Tarpley on the new alleged felony matter. What I'm reading in the interim complaint is that Mr. Tarpley is at some point found lying on the ground, and then at a later point, an officer finds drugs. There is no allegation the drugs are found on Mr. Tarpley. In the interim complaint, there's no allegation the drugs are even found near Mr. Tarpley. I'm not sure how the interim complaint is so scant, but this is not a case where Mr. Tarpley was searched and they were found on him. This is not a case where the police went to Mr. Tarpley's residence and found drugs there. All the interim complaint says is a single sentence that reads, "I saw from a legal point of view 4 M30 pills." So we're asking that the court find no probable cause exists to hold Mr. Tarpley with how bare this interim complaint is, Judge.
Thank you. Neil?
Your Honor?
Yeah.
It's fairly obvious that this was a welfare check. The person was basically in a nod or otherwise unconscious, if I'm reading this correctly. And what I'm seeing here, one moment. He was lying on the floor, unresponsive. Attempts were made to wake him. Once the male moved from where he was lying, he saw. So what that sounds like to me is there was more, he took part of what he had and was in a nod or was just completely passed out. And some of the rest of the pills that were in his possession, I mean, once he was moved from where he was lying, sounds like he had, for sake of argument, say he had 8 pills. He smoked 4, and that was enough to put him in a nod. And he drop the other 4. And when the police responded in their community caretaker role, they found the other 4. Your Honor, that's possession any day of the week. And that is for a person who is out on felony release, also drug paraphernalia. That's a no bond, Your Honor.
Thank you. You guys will have to hash this out later, but for today, I do agree that he appears to be lying on top of 4 blue pills with burnt tinfoil and black residue, unresponsive. So I am going to find probable cause for today. The state is asking for a no bond hearing based on the fact that the defendant is on felony release for unlawful means of transportation and dangerous drug possession. It's on pretrial release. The no bond hearing will be held January 20th at 2:30 p.m. Pima County Superior Court. It appears the defendant is also eligible for a steps review. So I'm going to set that January 22nd at 9 a.m. If bond is posted or bond is set and posted, no alcohol or illegal drugs, monitoring by pretrial services. And then, sir, we need to talk about your city court case where you have failed to appear. I'm going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond. In that case, your next court date is January 24th at 1:45 p.m. Tucson City Court. This is a criminal trespass, prescription drug possession, drug paraphernalia, and another criminal trespass. You may not return to the incident location. You may not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. Your attorney is the Tucson City Public Defender's Office that will be representing you. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's all for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have
Taylor?
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Jacob Sky Taylor?
So, ma'am.
All right, this is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of weapons misconduct. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I am going to appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you in this matter. Let's see here. The state is recommending $5,000 plus pretrial release. Neil?
Your Honor, during a search incident to arrest the defendant, a prohibited possessor, was found in possession of a loaded .40 caliber pistol. He has a ag assault conviction, which is a violent crime, and has not had his rights restored. 5,000.
I also note there is a warrant out of Graham County for misconduct involving weapons, unlawful flight from law enforcement. Counsel, anything you want to add?
The only thing we would add, Judge, is that $5,000 seems appropriate, given that that is the amount listed on the warrant.
Thank you. So, Mr. Taylor, I do find it's appropriate to order that you be held on $5,000 bond. We're also going to talk about the Graham County warrant that's cash or secured pretrial if posted. Your next court date is your preliminary hearing, January 27th at 1:30 p.m. If you bond out, you are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and you're to be monitored by pretrial services. And then the Graham County warrant, again, is for failing to appear. That's Safford. I'm going to order that you be held on $5,000 cash or secured bond. In that case, your next review hearing is February 17th at 9 a.m. So what we'll do, Mr. Taylor, is we will monitor that warrant until your local charges are resolved, and then Graham County Graham County will then come and pick you up on that warrant. Do you understand?
Yeah.
All right, that's all for today. And then we're waiting for the interpreter on the Diaz-Ruiz matter.
And Your Honor, this is the Spanish court interpreter, and it's my understanding that the Tzotzil interpreter is already joining us on the line.
There's going to be an interpreter that I think needs your help if she doesn't speak English.
Right, Your Honor. We are going to do relay.
And I don't think is she on the line?
Yes, Rufino, ¿me oyes?
Sí, intérprete de Tzotzil estoy acá.
Perfecto, le voy a avisar a la juez. And Your Honor, yes, the Tzotzil interpreter is on the line.
Okay,
We can proceed with that defendant.
okay. Let's get Mr. Diaz Ruiz.
Ok, van a mandar llamar al señor Ruiz.
Muy bien.
Sorry about that, Judge. Thank you.
That's okay.
And Your Honor, can the Spanish interpreter instruct the Tzotzil interpreter?
Yes.
Señor Santis, le habla el intérprete de español. Entonces, lo que vamos a hacer es que la juez va a hablar en inglés. Yo se lo digo a usted en español. Usted después lo interpreta a Tzotzil. ¿Está bien?
Sí, está bien, entendí.
Gracias. Gracias. Thank you, Your Honor. We're ready.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Is your true name Fernando Diaz Ruiz?
Buenos días, señor. ¿Es su nombre verdadero Fernando Díaz Ruiz?
Sí,
Mija Viti Fernando Díaz Ruiz, ¿eh?
sí.
Yes.
Do you require an interpreter other than a Spanish language?
Señor, ¿usted requiere un intérprete que no sea de español, que sea de
Sí.
otro idioma?
Sí, sí, porque no hablo bien español.
Yes, because I don't speak that well Spanish.
Okay. All right. We
Muy bien.
we are going to provide that interpreter. The Spanish interpreter is going to interpret for the other interpreter who will then interpret for you.
Muy bien, entonces tenemos un intérprete de español que le va a traducir, le va a interpretar al intérprete de Tzotzil y luego el intérprete de Tzotzil a usted y viceversa. ¿Está bien?
Okay.
Bueno,
Okay.
원탁 헬름 다스 kopta 바이다 español dana ilak 원탁 헬름 다스 달라 바치고.
¿Habla con? Bueno.
Muy bien.
Okay, sir, you've been arrested on charges of armed robbery, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, dangerous instrument, and aggravated assault on a peace officer.
Bueno, señor, usted ha sido arrestado porque fue acusado de robo a mano armada, también agresión con agravantes con un arma mortal y también agresión con agravantes a un agente del orden público.
Hoy ocho kaldik las pasos arrestare hatira cha el kaldik ischuk la pas usar kun ali armas contra kun oficial, por eso hage las zagoshi.
ماشي يتقاوهن ما أكتب ماشي يتقاوه ما problema de يتقاوه.
¿Puedo hablar?
Can I say something?
I'm going to have you wait a minute, sir. I'm going to read you your rights, and then you'll have an opportunity to talk to your attorney before you make any statements.
Bueno, primero espere y le voy a decir de sus derechos y después le voy a dar la oportunidad de que hable con su abogado y que luego me diga lo que me quiere decir.
Shamanato, chicabo tiempo tana, primero chicalbota derecho y la opona abogado, las mira opona abogado, shushak oponuntana.
All right.
Okay.
Sir, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you.
Señor, usted tiene el derecho de permanecer callado. Todo lo que diga puede y será utilizado en su contra. También tiene el derecho de ser representado por un abogado. Si usted no se puede pagar un abogado, le vamos a asignar uno para que lo represente.
Oya derecho timu shushak opoje, mi hoy kusilawash kalike shusha pasposhik ali contra shuka kusilavale, mi shusha oya derecho chasa kunuka abogado, mi chavala tagine shuta sabot kutika abogado para que es paspo representar.
I am going to appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you in this case.
Y voy a nombrar al defensor público del condado de Pima para que lo represente en este caso.
The state is recommending, I'm sorry.
Passport ali aje dari kung ali abogado te mucho passport ali defender.
State is recommending that you be held on bond. I will also note that there is an immigration hold on you as well. Neil,
Your Honor, this person has three separate
Neil, let's
victims.
let the interpreter chain go first. Sorry.
Very good.
Thank you, Your Honor. Señor, entonces la fiscalía está recomendando que a usted quede detenido, pero que se le fije fianza. Y también le quiero mencionar que hay una orden de retención en su contra del Departamento de Migración.
Neil,
Hoy escaldic hoy a multa escaldic necesita corte, pero también hoy escaldic ochem ali multa y un migración y hajest.
okay. I think we're ready for you, Neil.
Your Honor, this person has three separate victims. Go ahead.
Ahora, dice el fiscal, su señoría, el acusado tiene tres víctimas distintas.
Ali ali su señoría a ti vinikle hoy oshim ali escaldic dil ali víctima.
The first is a victim to whom the defendant approached her whilst she was shopping and got confronted, and he displayed a knife.
La primera víctima estaba de compras y el acusado se le acercó, la confrontó con un cuchillo.
This
Forgive
primer
me, I
víctima
will.
escaldic
Go ahead.
The third.
this primer víctima escaldic divini que hat kun ans manolaje divini escaldic que las cintas di manolaje yo con cuchillo.
Next, a second victim at a car wash on West Valencia reported a man threatening him with a knife, demanding his property. Go.
La segunda víctima estaba en un lavado de autos en la West Valencia y la víctima reportó que se le acercó un hombre, lo amenazó con un cuchillo y exigía su propiedad.
Chivas víctima kun vinicta auto lavado nakas box caro divini escaldic las pa cercar y las pas amenazar con cuchillo de las anbetis cosas escaldic.
The third victim is Officer Somoza. When Officer Somoza encountered the defendant, he drew a knife and slashed her in her right hand, requiring emergency medical treatment.
La
Go ahead.
tercera víctima es el agente Somoza y cuando el oficial Somoza se le acercó al acusado, le tiró un cuchillazo y le rasgó la mano derecha y como consecuencia el oficial tuvo que ser tratado de emergencia médicamente.
Yoshi Bals víctimas escaldic hat oficial Samosa las pasa cerca divinique pero divinique las lo que es navaja y las setpes com die oficiales tiene que tuve que bata hospital y jajes bati oficiales.
And then it should be noted that the officer suffered these injuries for which medical treatment was required in the course of the defendant resisting and fighting the officer.
Y luego quiero mencionar que el oficial había sufrido estas lesiones que requerían tratamiento médico, mientras al mismo tiempo el acusado resistía el arresto del oficial.
For the foregoing sorry.
Shock the oficiales lachtis cove y tuve que al bat hospital y las pasvik ali tratar de esconder de hospital y mientras ti las paso arrestar ti vini que muscan ali arrestar de ali pas peleas chuti oficial.
For the foregoing reasons, Your Honor, the state recommends a $75,000 bond, excuse me.
Por estas razones antes mencionadas, la Fiscalía está recomendando que se le fije una fianza de $75,000.
Haj kaldik ti fiscal di bone haj tis multa ti cositi gulah chapan gutike hatis multa hati $75,000.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you, Judge.
Gracias, abogado.
As the court noted, Fernando does already have an ICE hold.
Bueno, dice el abogado defensor, como usted ya sabe, su señoría, Fernando tiene una orden de arresto de la agencia de ICE.
Now abogado Chucky Fernando o nos million de migraciones por eso haj o James Bunch kaldik suelta migración.
According to pretrial, Fernando has spent 45 years with no law enforcement contact of any kind, and he is ones across the board.
Y de acuerdo a los servicios previos al juicio, Fernando pasó 45 años sin tener ningún tipo de incidente con los agentes del orden público.
Now ti Fernando o ya nos ali chawas muskalik o sea que la 45 años y chawas kusi muskalik yunta corte o policía.
Given that lack of history and the severity of the allegations here, we are requesting a bond of no more than $10,000.
Y dado que no tiene antecedentes penales y la gravedad de los alegatos, estamos solicitando que se le fije fianza que no sea más alta de $10,000.
Now ti chawas alis antecedente penale chawas kusi multo osh entonces haj kalik ti funs abogado haj kan me gutik dis multa unos $10,000.
Thank you, counsel.
Gracias, abogado.
Mr. Diaz-Ruiz, I find that you are an extreme threat to our community. There are
Señor Díaz.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Your Honor.
There are 3 victims in this case, one of whom is a police officer. I'm going to hold you on $100,000 cash or secured bond pretrial services if posted.
Señor Díaz, dice la juez, señor Díaz, dictamino que usted es una amenaza extrema para la comunidad. Y también quiero mencionar que hay 3 víctimas en este caso y una de las víctimas es un policía. Por eso le voy a fijar una fianza de $100,000 en efectivo o en garantía. Y si usted deposita la fianza, va a quedar bajo la supervisión de los servicios previos al juicio.
Tal ti juece bots kaldik ti vinikote hoy hajun amenaza ta comunidad entonces hech kaldik hoy o sin víctima de la paz amenazar un oficial entonces haj kaldik un juez ta anali $100,000 ta cash o mota garantía.
Your next court date is January 27th at 1:30 p.m. You are to have no contact with the alleged victims, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and monitoring by pretrial services.
Su próxima audiencia, señor, es el 27 de enero a la 1:30 de la tarde. Usted no debe de tener ningún tipo de contacto con la presunta víctima, no debe de consumir bebidas alcohólicas, no debe de consumir drogas ilegales, no puede poseer ningún tipo de arma de fuego y debe de seguir cualquier monitoreo que le indiquen los servicios previos al juicio.
Hoy una cita está 27 de enero hasta la 1:30 y tiene que mucha paz consumir droga, ni alcohol, ni cusicho bolsa paz y ya paz respetar de chalis colectivo oficial etiqueta.
Do you understand?
¿Le quedó claro, señor?
¿Me la va a
Me cae, me cae.
Sí, entendí.
Yes, I understood.
No sé, se te acabó, me voy tiempo con lo de la civiles, abuelo.
Tengo tiempo para...
Do I have time to speak with my attorney?
Absolutely. We're gonna end these proceedings, but you can stay and talk to your attorney, okay?
Claro que sí. Nosotros vamos a terminar con este proceso hoy, pero usted se puede quedar hablando con su abogado.
Bueno, yo, tu justicia de audiencia lita corte, entonces yo ya confío que ya coponda abogado.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you, Your Honor.
25. Are the,
Oh. Sorry, counsel, you probably need an interpreter, right?
yeah,
I don't know, is the interpreter, she's not at the jail? No. Okay.
no,
Okay,
it looks like they're both still on the line.
Yes, Your Honor, we're here.
I mean, it's gonna be broadcast to the public, so I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay. Madam Interpreter, could you let Mr. Diaz-Ruiz know that he can call his appointed attorney and that they'll be able to advise him better?
Señor Díaz, le habla el intérprete de español. Le está diciendo su abogado que no vamos a poder hablar en este momento porque toda esta sesión está siendo publicada al público, entonces no conviene que usted hable con él porque no hay privacidad. Pero a usted le van a dar un número de teléfono con el nombre de su abogado para que se comunique con él y así pueda hablar con su abogado y le pueda dar asesoría legal.
Okay.
Rufino.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I see what you teach. I do believe